Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to another episode of Musically Mindful, the show where I sit down with your favorite musicians, artists, and even some of your friends to talk about mental health within the music space. This is the first episode of season 2, and I know that coming out of the gate, it's going to seem hypocritical based off of the last episode, but the show is back and it's going to continue on. Um, I want to be forthcoming about the reason for that. I want to talk a little bit about, reference some of the things I talked about in the last episode and kind of explain why I decided to bring it back and essentially what the fuck happened and what I've been going through. I haven't recorded an episode with a guest in a while, and that's going to change next week. I'm not going to hint at anything. Look at the Instagram page, look out for teasers. There's a slew of great guests that are going to come on this season. However, I thought it would be important to start out just the way that I ended the last one by myself to explain, and also because I want this to be something that I can use for myself as well. I've had conversations with some of the guys on the show, Jeremy from Dogs. We talked about creation, and when it stops being for you, it stops serving. Frank Zappa said it, Rick Rubin says it, is make things for you. So at the end of the day, this project, I want to go over kind of the new perspective and the intention that I have going into this second season and beyond, but I also want to create something for me also. I talked about in the last episode how I was done with social media forever, and for anybody that knows me or has ever paid attention to me or been seeing me online, I go through these phases of when I feel like I need to step away. And for some reason, I have gotten to a point in my life and I've realized that I live in such terrible absolutes. And that's in so many different facets of my life. That's in my need to control things. It's in my, relationships, my friendships, my actions, my decisions, and it's been that way my whole life. Even my mom has always said, like, I have to make everything a thing. And going over some of my journal entries over the past couple of months, I've realized, I let my life just take on way too serious of a tone. Um, and I guess I can kind of speak to the main reason that I'm bringing this show back, and that I'm in just a better place that I thought that I was in that I wasn't. Um, I went into that isolation that I spoke of in the last episode with really good intention. I went into it with the intention to shut the fuck up, dig in my heels and do some work, go to therapy, really just take care of myself. And that's how it started. And it was bliss for a while. Honestly, it was beautiful. And I felt good about it. I felt really appreciative of that space and that time. But I've now come to accept and understand that I let it go far, far too long. And the reason I say that is because I began to use it as an excuse and a validation to run away from things. I'm in therapy, I'm digging in and working on all of these aversions and all of these things that I have going on and these problems, because we all have fucking problems. And what I'm recognizing now is that I was surveying all of them and I was digging my heels in, and awareness is important, and taking the time to subject yourself to that really radical reflection is important, but not when it's missing action and not when it's missing the intention to improve and reintegrate into the world and use the things that you're learning to get better. Um, I had a really, really powerful realization just the other day that in the fall and in the winter, I was depressed and I didn't even notice that I was. because depression looks different for everybody. Some people it's that they can't get out of bed. Some people it's that they can't be around others. Some people it's that they can't function. Depression is very serious, and I've encountered some people who have very serious depression over the past couple years of my life. And I'd been in some depression in the past. When I had my back injury that I've talked about, I was in a real depression. Um, but this was different. It wasn't your stereotypical, like, don't want to get out of bed. It wasn't your, I'm sad. And I spoke a couple months ago before I went into that isolation about how I was allowing myself to be sad. And that's okay, and it's important because your emotions are meant to be felt and understood, and emotions are energy and emotions are power. However, emotions are also powerful, and they can overtake you if you're not careful and you're not in control and you're not sound within yourself. And for me, that depression just looked like a complete false narrative of being sound within me. I was making excuses to run away from my friends. I was making excuses to run away from things that I love. I was adamantly and purposefully not doing things that I'm good at and not doing things that make me feel good and not being out in the world. I mean, shutting my phone off for that time was beautiful. And I'm creeping my way back in. I got back onto social media. I'm, you know, dipping my toe back in the kiddie pool. Um, but I have to recognize again, there's a beautiful adage that life is happening from you, not to you. And when I can take that into all the other things, social media wasn't giving me a negative connotation. I'm giving it a negative connotation. Social media wasn't disheartening me or making me feel bad or do it's your use of it. It's the way that you go into it with intention. It's your control over how you allow it to affect you. And I made excuses. I said social media was the problem. Then I said me consistently talking all the time was the problem. Then, oh, the people in my life are the problem. And it began to snowball into this thing of, cool, I'm in this isolation and I'm all by myself and I'm digging in. But we attract what we are. So if you're seeking abundance and you're seeking growth and betterment and love and happiness and fun, how can you do that when all that you are is alone and ignoring and fruitless? I am incredibly fortunate to have gained the perspective that I have over the past few years and allow myself the knowledge and the time to dig into those things and be aware of my shortcomings, be aware of the things that I'm good at, the things that I'm not, the things that I enjoy, the things that I don't, but also being open to those changing. And that's been the biggest realization over the past few weeks is that the past 4 months, I haven't been open to almost anything. I was so sequestered in myself and in this false narrative and in trying to justify what I was doing because eventually it wasn't about the outcome of the isolation. It was just about staying in it. And I had some pivotal people come into my life and out of my life over the past couple of weeks, months, and some interactions that were really pertinent and things that were, valuable in ways that I don't even think that I foresee just yet. But I've continuously tried to get closer to my spiritual self over the past few years. And that means something different to everybody, but what it means to me is my place in the universe because the universe is the place within me. And I hadn't been sound in myself in months. I was happy that I was digging in. I was happy that I was forcing myself to do things that I'm not good at and strengthen certain muscles. Like I am a yapper. I fucking talk. I'm on a podcast. People that know me, I said it in the last episode. Like people don't always want to hear you. Sometimes you should just shut the fuck up, and that's okay. Um, but forcibly quieting yourself is not a solution to that. forcibly ignoring your friends, forcibly not going to see music. Granted, I talked about how my relationship with music has changed a little bit and how it became not about the music for a while. And that's my fault. And I love music. I love the interactions that you have. I love the collective consciousness that's in a room, the ability for all different people with problems and different from different walks of life and all the things that they have going on in their day to day, inability to pay their bills or a relationship that's falling apart or kids that are stressing them out or whatever the case may be. Everybody can just bond for a short couple of hours and connect and allow, especially with improvisational music, when the guys on stage don't even really know what's going to happen and the band or the crowd doesn't really know. There's just this beautiful reciprocation of energy, and it can just be that. It doesn't need to be anything else. And I'm relearning that. But a very pivotal thing that happened to me um, just under 2 weeks ago was I went and I had a Reiki healing session, and that was coupled with some tarot readings and some other things. Now, I understand people's stigma and perception to that kind of stuff. However, through trying to get closer to my spiritual self, I want to be open to things. And I met somebody very important in my life that's very special that opened the door to spirituality for me, doing tarot readings and being aware of, energies and crystals and that kind of stuff. And I'm not going to sit here and act like I'm the most spiritual person in the world. I'm not going to sit here and act like I am anything that I'm not. I practice yoga, I practice meditation, I've found prayer, I do breath work, I vocalize, I journal, I do a lot of things to engage with my spirituality. However, I'm trying to take a leap and go further and believe and be open to those things. And I had never done a Reiki treatment before, and it was incredible. Truthfully, I mean the bounds of energy that I had trapped being released, the visions that I had that I will keep private because I haven't even discerned everything that they mean just yet. And I kind of want to just let them flourish and come to fruition if they will, or I'll recognize what they mean when they do, or when I do. Um, but I realized how stifled I had become and how serious I had become and how down I was. And it was a beautiful moment or a beautiful interaction with this woman that really just it fucking blew the doors off. And I came out of it with all of these realizations and all of this acceptance and all this understanding of like the places that I put myself and the reasons that I'm here and the things that I did to myself and why it happened and how I got there and what I need to do to rectify it and fix it and change it. And it was exactly what I needed at the right time, which it's beautiful in recognition that, wherever you were, are, and will be are all right. And the phrase muktab, if you've ever read the book The Alchemist, it is written. Everything happens for a reason. The way that things are going to go, they're going to go. It's your ability to flow. It's your ability to understand and change and let it go and let it be and let it come and let it go again and over and over. And I haven't been able to do that for some time. And I'm realizing just how not simple that or not easy that it is. It is simple and it's ideal and in the intention, but it is difficult. Um, but I feel so much better about it. And in some of those readings, some things were presented to me that I was just ignoring that I already knew, and things that were given to me that I didn't know. One of which, in the seriousness that I've been talking about, I used to be so silly and fun and goofy and as I've delved further into adulthood and, sobriety and other things, like I've lost some of my playfulness. And even, rewatching some of the stuff from the first season of the show, mental health is health overall, and mental health is there are good sides of it, and it can be fun and enjoyable. And not everything has to carry this weight and this, I realized just how difficult it would be to come onto the show. Hey, you're going to come on for an hour or two and you're going to talk about all your problems and your things. And no, do that in therapy. When you come on here, talk about what you're willing to. Let's talk about the good things. Let's talk about the bad things. Let's talk about the funny things, the serious things, the powerful things, the moving things. It can be all encompassing. And I don't feel that that's something to ignore or discredit, because I need to do that better. I need to, in just my life. I went to a show last weekend. I went to see Billy Failing at the Fox, and I walked into that show bubbly and happy and ready to fucking dance and have a good time. And I had an absolute fucking blast. And I met some new people, and I talked to some really, really nice girls that ended up being friends of friends. And we all like just, everybody was having a good time. And I was with my friends, and it was a beautiful thing. And I went and just, I had fun. I was playful. I was joking around, and it felt good. I take myself so seriously. I take my life so seriously. And granted, it's because I want to portray my serious nature. I want to be taken seriously. I want to act professionally in formats like this and what have you. But also, like, I'm a fucking human, and I want to be a dope sometimes, and I want to fucking be dumb and have fun and be silly and crack jokes. And last summer, I really embodied that really well, and went to. I remember being at Mondegreen, and we really, I wore women's overalls, and I ran the 5K in a dress. It was a corduroy dress that somebody bought for somebody else. And me, I'm 6'2", 205 pounds, and I work out. I'm in decent shape. And this thing was a small or a medium, and I fucking and I squeezed into it. And I remember my buddy Trevor, who literally, he was just like, "Damn, Sketty," which for anybody, Sketty is a nickname that a lot of my friends have now come to call me, which I love. I've been nicknamed every type of pasta you can imagine over the years. So having one that kind of stuck that's my own is sort of cool. But I mean, at that festival, I joked around, like we bullshitted. We went through the crowd. I was taking pictures with my ass out and just goofing around and having fun. And I then I kind of went into some more serious shit that kind of took me away from that. I remember the relationship that I was in last year. There was a lot of seriousness to it and a lot of weight, but also like there were times where like, ah man, I remember there was one night that her and I were just sitting in her bedroom, and I just did like the stupidest little thing, and we audibly belly laughed. Like I haven't laughed. I don't know if I've laughed that hard, since, or like it was so fun. And being able to like tease people and tease your friends in a playful way, and have conversations that are silly are important. I have a really strong muscle in serious conversation and deep intellectual conversation, part of which because I'm a yapper, but also because I think that I prioritize my intellect, and I try to be, very good, whether it be linguistically or whatever the case may be. I'm trying to get better every day about listening to hear, not listening to respond. But I need to have that sense of fun and playfulness that I've lost a little bit, and I could feel it's back, and I could even just, I'm looking at a camera and I see myself on the screen, and I look at the last episode and the one before that and now, and I feel revitalized. I feel a resurgence. I feel old parts of me that are now shifting and coming back into the current me and into the next because they're all me. It's all connected. Um, and I'm so appreciative of the perspective that I'm gaining and the recognition, to be aware after the fact that you were in a depression that you don't even really understand. And granted, I'm not trying to like, and I hope that I'm not being offensive to anybody when I talk about how I was depressed. And because depression's different, everybody deals with it differently, everybody views it differently, has different, um, like levels of it. And I hope I'm not just using it as I'm not trying to just like use it as a buzzword or an outlet or anything like that. But for anyone who knows me, for me to ignore my friends and not want to talk to people and not go to concerts and not make things and create and not talk about mental health and not prioritize all of the things that I spent so many years building into me, it was eye opening, or it is now eye opening to realize that I was there and I couldn't even see it. Um, but in circling back to the Reiki treatment, and one of the readings that I had was that I had so many creative projects last year, this podcast included, that I just let go by the wayside. And at that time, they were fulfilling me. They were serving me. I'm not a musician by trade, but I do write music. And I set a goal for myself last year to play a show and to record an EP. And I didn't fucking do it. I had a goal for myself I mean, I'm not going to keep it under wraps anymore. I don't know when it'll happen, whatever. I've been writing a book. And I've been writing incessantly, but I stopped writing the book. I just was writing to write, which was good in ways. It brought me back to writing poetry, and it brought me back to, um, realizing that I can just write to get out thoughts and be cathartic and stuff like that. But the podcast and music and even art, digital art that I did, I stopped doing all of it. And part of the reading that I got was that I need to reinvigorate those creative endeavors and I need to put new intention into them and really just new intention into this phase of my life. I put myself in such a place that was just so bad for me, and I got myself into such a negative spot. And a lot of people, have told me over the past few years and are very kind to me about that I'm positive and that I have a good outlook on things. In the past few months, I just simply didn't. I just didn't. And I'm understanding now that my intention needs to change. So what do I want that to look like? I want my life to be free and loving and kind and silly and wonderful and all of these different things. So I have to be the one to put the intention into that. And particularly over the past week or so with my prayer and my meditation, I've really begun to reshape the intention and breathe that energy back into my life. And I just feel a weight off. I feel good. I feel I woke up today and I jumped out of my bed. I woke up, I jumped out of bed, and I woke up, I got right up, turned all the lights on, took my dog outside, came back in, did my yoga, all of my stuff, went and did my, my plant care, and I sat down to record this. And I feel good. I feel good. I worked hard today. I worked hard today. I did my job well. I took care of my dog. I communicated with my friends. I made plans. I worked on things that I've been ignoring, and it feels fruitful and it feels amazing. And it's so simple and it sounds so stupid in ways, but I am just so incredibly grateful for the place that I'm now in, coming out of the place that I was, and being intelligent enough and cognizant enough to recognize that I use that isolation as a tool to escape and as an excuse, but it's done and I'm out of it and I'm back. And I have so many good I what am I going to have my life look like right now? I'm going to get more jacked than I've ever been in my entire life. I'm going to lift weights, I'm going to run, I'm going to do all the things that I love. I'm going to be outside consistently. I'm going to spend time. I did this thing recently where I sent out an invite to a bunch of my friends to, I don't have a huge place. I have a one bedroom apartment, but it's like a big open floor plan. Um, and I sent out an invite, and every month I'm gonna have people come here and hang out with no agenda. You come, you pick a record out of the cabinet, or you bring an instrument, or you bring a board game, or you bring a drink if you want to drink, or whatever the fuck you want to do, and we just hang. Life is tough sometimes, and we all have hard work weeks and this and that, and I feel like as you get older, all of your friends, you only see your friends on occasions. Somebody, it's a birthday, it's an engagement, it's a marriage, or, well, marriage, you know what I'm saying. And I don't want it to be that. It doesn't have to be that. Like, hey, dude, you had a long work week, fucking come by and just sit on the couch. If you want to just come and sit and take a nap, do it. I try to treat my home like a commune. I have, you know, I try to keep my doors always open, and I tell people that I trust, that I love, you can literally just show up. You can just walk inside. If you're by hiking and you don't want to go all the way home, come here, grab something out of the fridge. You're close by with your pet, and you want to stop by and say what's up, just walk in. You want to see what's going on? Go ahead. You want to get away from your wife or girlfriend or boyfriend or husband, fiance, or you just need a breather. You had a tough day at work. You need somebody to talk to. You need a quiet space to just like be away from the mundane and or the chaotic and whatever. My home is a safe space. And I want that. I want that connection. I want people to have a place to go. And in the same way I want them to have a physical place to go, I want them to have a mental place to go too. Um, this podcast I have found such new belief in for myself because it is something that serves me, and serving other people does serve me. I've been told that my entire life. I've been told that by my good friend Nick Heller, who has been a very, very integral and important part of my spiritual journey and understanding of things. And I am in my in not in my nature, because I'm trying to eliminate that from my vocabulary. However, I do feel fulfilled as a person of service, helping my friends, talking to people, doing things for people, um, being that soundboard. Um, I enjoy that because it makes me feel good. And in the past, I have come to I know now that a lot of that was because of my low self-worth. If I can do things for you, then you'll love me. If I can give you something, then you'll have a reason to stay. But I'm trying to shift that intention and that gear into understanding, no, like I want to help you because it helps me. I want to help serve you because that serves me. Acting from love, not for it. Doing things for people just to do it, not worrying about reciprocity or, I do understand there's a fine line. If you just put out love to somebody and they don't give it back and they're rude to you and they mistreat you, get out of that space, eliminate it, get it. Don't stay there. Don't keep yourself stuck in that. However, blindly love, blindly do things, blindly put out good energy and don't worry about how it's going to come back, because if you know that you're doing good things, it will come back. And with this show, I want to do that. I want people that are watching the show to be able to learn. I want people coming onto the show to be able to connect and relate with the people that are having the conversations with me. I want the musicians, the artists, photographers, whoever, to come on and have a place to just be able to divulge and feel safe and heard, and maybe even be able to take some things away to reflect. But something that I realized even deeper the other, before I decided to come back and do this with guests and stuff, I was so nervous about pigeonholing myself into like, okay, now it's a musically mindful. It always has to be in the context of the music space. But music is everywhere. Music is a universal language. It's in everything we do. You listen to music when you commute to work. You listen to music when you're at the gym. You might work in music. Music might be the thing you do, but music might also just be a passion. You might work within the music space outside of the music. You might be in an office. You might be, one of the people that recycle, that is, whatever the case may be. Music means something to everybody. And music is nurturing and it's disarming, because everybody has something with music. So music as a baseline is actually, it opens me up to any and everybody, because as I improve and I get better at these conversations and I get visibility and I grow and the show grows and gets hopefully gets more popular and what have you, the level of guests can do the same. And I look at, comedians podcasts and they have musicians, and I look at, Joe Rogan, and Joe Rogan has people of all different types. And I'm not saying I am or will be the next Joe Rogan. Put it out in the universe, though. I'm going to succeed at this. I'm going to do well. I think it's something that I have a talent for, and I think that I'm going to cultivate it and get better at it. And I think that with people like you that want to watch and listen, we can do that, because this is for us. It's for collective. It's for everybody to have a place to talk and listen and all of that. But I'm not worried about being pigeonholed into a thing. It's my fucking thing. It's my thing. It's our thing. I can make it whatever the fuck I want it to be. I can rebrand it 100 times. I can evolve it. I can change it. I can reinvigorate the style. I can change the backdrop. I can do them in person. I can do whatever the fuck I want, whoever the fuck I want. If I want to have one of my best friends on, just because I want to have one of my best friends on, great. If I meet somebody at a show or a festival that's like has an incredibly impactful story, I can bring them on, because music is a central theme of life. And I feel really good about the fact that I'm now looking at it that way. And I feel so strongly that this is a type of podcast that needs to exist. And that's another reason I'm going to work at it, and I'm going to create, well, I created it already, but I'm going to continue making it. And I want this conversation to be driven to the forefront. I want people to talk. I want people to listen to each other. I want people to recognize that health is wealth, and I want people to have a place to go. One of the coolest things that ever happened to me in season one was the first guest that I had on the show was Mark Brownstein from the Disco Biscuits. Brownie is a great man that I really have admiration for and appreciation for in my personal life. If you want to learn about why, you can listen to that episode and we talk all about it. I've known Brownie almost half my life. And on that episode, we talked about how he went and saw a doctor and got put on medication, and his life had begun to flourish better and all that. And I got a DM to the Musically Mindful Instagram from somebody I'd never met, Biscuits fan, that was like, "Hey man, I know who you are. I just wanted to let you know I watched the episode that you did with Brownie, and hearing that he was able to go to a doctor made me feel less afraid to do the same. And I went to a doctor last week and I'm getting put on medication. And I just wanted to say thank you for having that conversation, because I was afraid to do it, and watching somebody that I respect do the same put me at ease." And that's all that I could ever ask for on one of these episodes, or any. I don't, like I said, I don't care if I'm the next Joe Rogan. I do foresee this becoming something. I think I can really get legs under this and really grow with it and make it something that people enjoy and make it something that people want to watch and listen to and pay attention to and expand it into, in-person conversations and working with organizations that, deal in mental health and spirituality and meditation and other practices of that nature. And I really do feel that way. But at the end of the day, subscribers, clicks, whatever the fuck does not matter. If there is somebody that can tell me that they feel better or that a conversation I got to enjoy with a friend or somebody helped them somehow, there's no better there's no better thing that could come out of the show. Success is what you make it, and success is what you determine it to be. If you need it to be a metric success, great. If you need it to be subscribers and views and, getting put on a label or management, excuse me, or whatever the case may be, that's your prerogative and that's fine. I want you should aim for that. Aim for success and achieving. This is something I want to do for me and with a deeper purpose in mind. And now the intention to take it more playfully and open the doors up to different people and let music be the center, but not the only focus, feels really good. And I'm really excited for what's going to come this season. I'm so stoked for the people that I've already got coming on. I don't, like I said, I'm not going to spoil it. Pay attention to the Instagram. It'll help get the eyes on it and whatever. But, I'll put out previews and whatnot every week. There's going to be somebody cool. Probably, I mean, the episode numbers are just going to continue to grow. But I mean, this is the start of season 2. Season 2 will probably be every season will probably be 10 or so guests. I don't really know. I'll figure it out. Um, but yeah, I am so fortunate to be in the place that I'm in mentally at the moment, and that's because I'm doing it overall. Your health is your health. Mental health is a part of it, but it's all health. It's all taking care of you. Um, and I still got work to do. I'm still digging out of that isolation and that hole and talking to my friends and doing the things that I need to do, but I feel loose. I feel content. I feel good about me. I feel good about where I'm headed. I feel good about the things that I don't know. And I think that's the most beautiful to feel good about the unknown and have trust and excitement for what I have no idea about that's going to happen is amazing. And opening myself up to the opportunities that are going to find me and opening myself up to the possibility of whatever the greatest outcome is. And that's in everything. That's with the podcast, that's with my friends, with my life, my career, my creative endeavors, romantically, relate, whatever the case may be. Opening yourself up to the most amazing outcome is the best thing that you can do, because if you have this preconceived notion and you are so steadfast and living in an absolute and it needs to be this and it has to be that, A, that's control and attachment. B, you're going to let things pass you by. You're going to ignore the things that are good for you because you think that there's something better. Or rather, the inverse, excuse me, you're not going to take it, you're not going to listen to the thing that's better because you're so fixated on the other. Um, the truth being, like, the only things that are going to find you are what are meant to. And if what you think is best for you doesn't find you, it's only because there's something better. Um, I really like to believe that the universe tends to unfold as it should. And I think even a little bit over the past couple of months, I lost belief in that. I lost belief in the flow. I lost belief in myself. I'm never one to openly admit an issue with self-worth, but I have had one. And, as many mental health videos as I made and, talking about loving yourself and talking about, you being one of a kind and special and all of those things, I am also in the midst of having a human experience. And there are the days where I do not feel good about myself, and that's okay. There are the moments where I feel lesser than, or I'm comparing myself to somebody else. I'm human. We all do it. But the only person I want to compare myself to is the last version of myself and see that it got better. There's a really cool, Matthew McConaughey said in his, I think it was in his like Oscar speech, he always has somebody to chase, and the person he's chasing is him 10 years from now. His hero is him 10 years from now. He'll never beat his hero, he'll never catch his hero, but it gives him something to work towards. And I think in a weird way, even though it might seem opposite of presence, just like letting that be the thing can actually just make you really present in yourself. Presence is a big thing for me that I am working on, that I've struggled with over and over and over. And no matter how many times I read Ram Dass's books or listen to his podcast episodes or sit with meditation or whatever the case may be, it's something that I sincerely struggle with, that I'm talking about it in therapy. My need to progress, my need to move forward, my need to grow, all of those things are predicated on my inability to just always be present. And that's something for me to strive for. I think it's really beautiful to accept that you aren't perfect, but also, I guess, in a way, accept the things you didn't do right and why, and take them as lessons and move forward and grow and become the person that you're supposed to. But it's easier said than done. Um, Sometimes it's not always easy to just accept things. It's really not. Let things come as easily as you let them go. All the stuff. And I understand that I subject myself to, self-sabotage a lot. Like I know these things. I say these things. I use the buzzwords and the terms and all the things, and through a lot of my writing, and if all the mental health content that I did on social media for a while with like morning affirmations and videos and all that. I could say it 100 times. I could talk about it till I'm blue in the face, but if I'm not embodying it, what value does it have? Where is my level of self-worth um within that? And that's where my intention is going to shift into this next phase of the show and my life and beyond. And I cannot tell you how good it feels to want to love myself again, and how good it feels to want to open the door to whatever is coming. I'm incredibly excited to delve further into this insight and become more spiritual and become more sound in myself and allow my health as a whole to flourish and my life to flourish and the people to find me and the things to find me and the creative endeavors to, like, I'm saying it now, man. When I record and put out like a 6 or 7 song EP that's just my music, it'll be something that I can say that I did. When I play a live show this summer, it'll just be something cool that I can do, that I say that I did. Talking to the people on this show will be things that I can say that I did. There's one guest that I have coming on this season that I am so incredibly excited for, not just for you guys, but for me, even selfishly, to ask him a couple of questions. I really try to make these conversations organic and flow. I don't send a call sheet or if that's even what you fucking call that. I don't give them insight into what it's going to be or I do my due diligence. I'm not Nardwar or Sean Evans, but I do my research. I read and I watch interviews and I pay attention and I have tidbits and factoids and things to reference. However, I recorded an episode yesterday or the day before with somebody really, really cool. And I had a bunch of stuff up about his business and his life and whatever. We didn't even fucking talk about half of it. We didn't talk about his business, his role in music. We in nearly 2 hours, I think we talked about it for 1 minute. And I'm not over, like, literally 1 minute. And it was beautiful. But this other one I'm talking about, like, there will be a couple of questions where, like, I'm like, hey, how about this? Like, can you tell me about that? because I'm curious, and opening this door to do this project means that like I can ask those questions, and I can get that for me. It's funny, over the past few episodes they've just felt empty and they felt useless and unnecessary in a way. But I see myself on the screen and there's a smile back on my face, and I'm so happy about it and I feel so good, and I'm incredibly grateful for wherever this is going to go. And I hope that you guys follow along, and I hope that you listen, and I hope that you enjoy the show. And give me suggestions, be interactive, send me people, talk to people, get people, help me get people on the show that you want me to talk to, that you want to hear talk about this kind of stuff. Um, I want people to be active. I want people to submit art. I want people to submit music to be played on the show. I kind of want to start featuring and highlighting my friends. I had the music of the show are friends of mine, the band Marsupial, four sweet, sweet boys from New Jersey that me and my friends met because they were playing at a bar near Rutgers and they covered a Pigeon song. And my friends were there and they met. And then my friends had a house at the time, and in their attic we built a concert venue and we called it the Great Gig in the Sky, and we did LEDs, and our friend Cook made this cloud. He took a bunch of LED strips and foam and spray adhesive, and we made this cloud, and we had these kind of like and it was a remote, and we and Marsupial became like our house band, and they became such good friends. And every weekend or every other weekend we would have people, we would have, it sometimes they played to six people. One time they played to like 80 or 90. Like I thought the attic was going to fall in. And even after the fact, watching those guys grow to play Grand Mercy Theater opening up for Everyone Orchestra, and playing Bowery Ballroom, and playing the Mercury Lounge, and venues that I've seen bands like Goose and other big bands. Those guys are my friends that I support forever. The drummer Mark and I share a birthday, which is also just a cool thing. But like those guys, when I wanted to put music to this show, they were the first people that I thought of. And I asked them for their permission if I could use a song, and they were like, "You can literally use any song that you want. We asked, just give us some credit." And now they're in the end of the show, and they you hear the first thing you hear when you hear Musically Mindful is Mongoose by Marsupial. It's the last thing you hear on the way out, and you see their Spotify link, and go listen. Go listen to Marsupial. Marsupial Jams on YouTube. All their handles are at the end and what have you. Look them up on Spotify. They're awesome. They're an instrumental band. They're four really unbelievably nice guys that are super talented, that I am lucky enough to call friends, that were kind enough to give me their sound for this project. So things like that, your friends are in bands, fucking hit me up, send me their information. You want to I mean the art, I created the logo for the show myself because I do some art, but the thumbnail photo that I now use, or the background of it, my friend Grant Skelton, his art page, Scoop Doodles, he's unbelievably talented, and I am so fortunate to have his art now be part of the show too, and highlight him. And he is one of the nicest, kindest guys I know, and I've him and I have never had anything but beautiful interactions. And when I brought this idea to him, he delivered and gave me something so cool. And now every time on a thumbnail, I get to look at Grant. And when a show starts, I get to hear Marsupial. And I want that to grow. I want to highlight, I've met some really great artists and people in the community. And I want to meet more. I want to highlight people. I want to show people's art. I want to show people's creativity. And that playfulness is something that I need for that. Being able to bring somebody on and have them just say who they are and what they do. And, shout out to Cam Hurd of, Best Show Ever, who's been a guest on before. Um, he talks about like people that make clothes and and all the kinds of stuff and his friends, and I want to do the same. And you know, we're a community, we're people, we're human. It's highlighting, if somebody can come on the show and it might bump their business up a little bit, or I can have somebody on and I can get eyes and ears into their listening, you know, whatever, or into their following, it's great and it serves and it's beautiful. I just want this project to be great for everybody. I want it to be something that everybody can enjoy. I want it to be something that you can feel like you have an investment in and a part of. I want you to want to share it. I want you to want to hear people and see people and listen and watch. And, you know, I don't want you guys to be strangers. You know, the Instagram handle is at musically mindful. Mindful is spelled with two L's. Go follow the page, message me, or you can reach out to my own personal Instagram and hit me up, or if you have my number, text me, you know, whatever the case may be. I want this podcast to become a major connection point in my life. I don't want it to be the only thing. I don't want it to be the baseline. I don't want it to be the only thing that I'm like known for or whatever, but I want this to be a point that people use to connect to me and that I can use to connect to others, and we can all connect other people and friends. And that's the beauty of community. And I think that's the beauty of sorry, I just looked down and my dog flopped. Flops harder than the third installment of a dying movie franchise, I'll tell you that. But life is a beautiful thing, and being able to have people come onto this show that are creating is something that I really want to do. And I might take a little bit of a different approach. You know, maybe I'll do more than one episode a week, or maybe I'll record as many as I can and just put them out when I feel like it. You know, maybe I'll have the series for musicians and the series for photographers, and then a series of clothing designers and people that do tie-dyes. You know, I have some really great friends, you know, Groovin to Survive, my friends Jake and Tiffany. They have amazing, you know, they do amazing work, and Jake does really, really great tie-dyes. I have friends that make pins. I have friends that do so much stuff, and I'm even having this realization now to let these people come on to highlight their business and their creative efforts. And also, it's how mental health affects them, how music got them into doing that art, or you know, how you know, some of the other people that I can talk about. I have friends that I've met through bands that now have families because they met families through bands. Jake, who I just mentioned, him and Tiffany met because of pigeons, and now they have a home and a child and a dog, and it's beautiful. And shout out to Jake and Tiffany. I haven't spoken to them in a bit. Kind of, you know, I haven't spoken to fucking anybody in a bit, but they're amazing humans, and I love them, and you know, I want them to be highlighted. I want Jake to be able to talk about his business and his inspirations, and I just want people to be able to come on and be inspired and inspire others, and I want to inspire others. You know, I fucking have talked about it numerous times on this show. I've been very fortunate to be met with people telling me that I'm an inspiration, whether it be for my health journey, you know, with my physical health, you know, my sobriety, a ton of other things, or just me as me. And I have always tended to discredit that, or not discredit it, but not validate it, and not give, I guess that's the same thing, but not appreciate it and take it for what it's worth. If you can inspire somebody, that is an incredible gift, and that is an incredibly powerful thing to be able to do. And I want to inspire. So we're on fucking season 2, and I don't want this to slow down. And I want to say thank you guys for anybody that's supported thus far. I want to say thank you if you watch, if you listen, if you share. Please tell your friends, have them come on and watch, show them clips, go to the social media pages, do all the things that people do in today's day and age with technology that I've been trying to run away from, and help me, help you, help us. You know, let's grow this thing and let's do it. And outside of the podcast thing, you know, I'm so excited for my life at this very moment. I am so fortunate to be in the place that I am. I am so fortunate to have people that love me. I am, you know, moderately successful. I have a good roof over my head. I have a dog. I'm in good shape. I feel good about my life. I have such an extensive network of friends and people and things and hobbies and passion. Like I am so happy just to fucking be me in this moment right now, me to you. I am so happy to be me. And I really hope that you are happy to be you. And I cannot wait to show you what I have in the works. I cannot wait for this season to continue on. I cannot wait to have guest episodes back. And I can't wait to continue to evolve and drive this conversation forward and get it to the forefront and talk about health and talk about spirituality and talk about the things that a lot of us don't choose to talk about. I cannot wait to just fucking get after it. I really can't. I can't wait to go see music. I can't wait to talk about music. I can't wait to talk about mental health. I can't wait to live my life. I can't wait to experience you, see you. I am incredibly excited for this season. I'm incredibly excited for my life. And I can't wait to just share and be humans and have this human experience together and do whatever the fuck we want. Um, I thank you guys for watching this one, and you know, I always try to end these episodes on a light note and something positive, and I always tell you guys, and I'm bringing it back, that I hope you leave this show truthfully with your mind full of something, with intention, with good favor, with love, with learning, whatever it may be. I hope that you take something from the show and you go explore what it means to you. And I hope that you come back every week, and I hope that you watch, and I hope you share, and I hope you enjoy, and I hope you have fun. And I love you, and I wish nothing but the best for you in all of your life and every single thing that you do. I want nothing but growth and happiness and smiles, and let's just let life fucking rip. So thank you guys so much, and keep your eyes peeled for what I got coming. It's going to be a good season. It's going to be a good time. I love you guys, and I'll catch you in the next one. Take care and be well.